Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Eclectic Knitter Podcast. My name, of course, is Raylene, aka Come On and Knits on Ravelry. You can find show notes for this episode, as always, at theeclecticknitter.com. Episodes are uploaded to the blog. There's a link on the Ravelry forums. It's also on YouTube and iTunes. So, this is episode something, 60 maybe? I guess I don't usually announce the episode number. I think last time was 59. I don't have show notes because I just don't. Anyway, it is Saturday, May 13th. It is 3:47 in the afternoon, Mountain Standard Time. I don't remember what exactly I talked about last week. Or last time, which was almost 2 weeks ago. Let's see, 2 weeks ago was April. Okay, so 2 of my projects are new. 2 of them you have seen before. One of the ones you've seen before does not have a progress keeper, so I have no idea where I was, and it looks kind of the same, but that's okay. At least one thing from last time I have not worked on at all, so I'm not even going to bring it out. It's up in that project bag. It's that pair of socks. I have not touched them. I have no finished objects. I have gotten distracted and by bandwagon jumping. So, nothing's finished, but I do have quite a bit of stuff to talk about. So I'll start with stuff that you've seen before. One of the things that I started is a mystery knit along, and I will announce before I show anything. If you don't want to be spoiled, jump ahead a couple minutes. So, the first thing that I've been working on, which I have put into a Fat Squirrel fiber bag. This is her Sock Plus, which is not quite big enough, but that's okay. This is from one of her more recent updates. It's covered in dog hair, because the dog's all over everything. This is the Yowza Weigh It Shawl 1. This is out of Miss Babs Yowza in a one-of-a-kind color called Excellent, which I bought around Easter. I'm like 6 weeks into this project, still can't tell if I like it or not. I have about 4 ounces left. The skein weighed in at 8.4 ounces, and I have to go till a certain number of ounces. So the progress keeper is where I was at last time, and that is how much progress I've gotten. It's all scrunchy on the needles. So, it's just garter. I'm using US size 8s. The pattern calls for 9s. I do not have 9s. So, I'm using 8s. It's all good. But I am making progress on it. Each row at this point uses like 0.1 to 0.2 ounces of yarn per row. So it's getting eaten up quite quickly. But yeah, that's that's where I was. This is where I am. So that's going along. This may be for my sister-in-law. It may not be for my sister-in-law. It depends on if she likes it or not. The next thing that you have not seen, or you have seen before, losing it, is also in a Fat Squirrel fiber bag. This is my little boxy for my niece. This is out of Madeline Tosh BFL Sock in the Cosmic Wonder Dust colorway. I am about, I think, 9 inches into the body. I'm doing the 6-year-old size. I am regretting it kind of with every stitch, so I haven't necessarily worked on it very much. I am alternating every 2 rows, and I have been since the beginning, but I'm finding that it was more speckled at the beginning of both skeins than it is now. I don't know if it, at least that's what I noticed. I'm sorry, I'm losing stitches, so I'm very distracted. Ugh. Yet I'm trying to... Okay. There, it's all scrunchy. But... So yeah, I feel like it was more speckly down here than it is up top, which I noticed after I took a picture of it. So even though I am alternating skeins, I feel like that's maybe not helping me very much. Oh. Sorry, when I was putting the needles back on some of these stitches, I'm using Hiya Sharps. These are actually my Hiya Sharp interchangeables that I just got, and it picked up a stitch from like 4 rows below, so I've now got it's now sticking out. Anyway, it's going. I probably actually won't end up giving it to my sister-in-law for at least another year, probably. She's only 2.5 right now. And then we knit a very baggy cardigan in a 6-year-old size, and we call that good. But at least it's something. Dog, you better not eat that Christmas cactus. He's like outside on the balcony, laying down in the sun. He gets up and comes inside and like noses the Christmas. Anyway, he's a weirdo. The next thing is I have been suckered into Mad May. Mad May is a it is a month-long celebration of Madeline Tosh yarn. There is one, I think, for Malabrigo as well. Except I think that's in March, maybe. March? I don't know. I've never done that. I've been involved in Mad May off and on for years and years. I haven't done anything last couple of years, but this year I decided to join in. So I joined in on the general sweater cal. I am using one of my oldest sweater quantities of Madeline Tosh Vintage. These are short skeins. They are in Steam Age. Cyrus! Hey! If you can't be quiet, then I'm gonna close the door. Yeah. Anyway, this is Madeline Tosh Vintage in Steam Age. Like I said, these are short skeins. There's only 190 yards per skein. I have 10 skeins of it. I have decided to do Cyrus. I started working on a French braid cardigan with this yarn ages ago and didn't like how it was knitting up. So I am doing a flax. I don't know how much you're... So I do the... For me, I have to do the largest size of 58 inches. So I have the top done until the sleeve split off with the garter ridge. And then I am about 6 inches past the split off for the sleeves. You can see there. I am alternating skeins every 2 rows. I'm not sure at this point if it's helping or not. But it is knitting up nicely. It does look nice. I don't have any pooling, but I don't know if like I said, I don't know if I would have had pooling anyway. So I have until the end of May to finish this in order for Mad May prizes, of which I have never won. But I figured it was a good reason to knit some old stash and get a sweater out of my queue that I've been wanting to knit for a while, and hopefully I can finish it this month. But I have obviously been enjoying it. This is in one of my bird leg bags. Fox's bag. this bag is not big enough at this point for this sweater. Just kind of holds my yarn, and then my sweater kind of flops on top of it. See, that's okay. So the last thing I am working on is Joey Locatelli's Starting Point Mystery Cal Knit Along. It's a rectangular shawl stole thing. I'm done, completely done half of the first clue, because you basically knit the same thing twice in the first clue. And so if you don't want to see it, here, I'll show you my yarn choices first, and then I'll show the actual thing that I have knit. So, color number 1, I am using Mennonite Cosmos TML in the Moon Glow colorway. It's a very, very pale gray blue. Color 2 is also Mennonite Cosmos Merino Light in Coquette. This is an old enough skein that it is Coquette, not Coquette Du. Just gonna put those on the computer. Number 3 is a Hedgehog Fibers Skinny Singles in the Monet colorway. It's a little bit more blue-green than that is showing, but color 4, which is supposed to be your darkest color, is TML in the Thunderstorm colorway. And color number 5 is Cosmos Merino Light in Baltic. Baltic and Thunderstorm had old Mennonite Cosmos tags on them. Like white Mennonite Cosmos tags. So this is my color scheme for it. I'm very excited that I am using up, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to, I'm using up old stash, and B, it's all from stash. Baltic and Thunderstorm I've had in my stash for at least 5 years. Coquette I've had in my stash for probably about 2 or 3. Moon Glow I've had in my stash for a year. The Monet is the newest one. This is the skein of Monet that I bought when I was in BC in March. And I actually have a second skein of it. Color 3 is supposed to use, like, I think 420 yards. This only has about 400. I do technically have a second skein of it, but it's my second skein of Monet I bought from Eat Sleep Knit Fibers, and it's a very different colorway. It's a lot darker. So I'm probably, if I do run out, I'm going to substitute a different color, probably Baltic, for it. Whoa, no! Okay, Moon Glow fell all the way down. So now if you don't want to see, look away. I'm done the first clue, the first half of the first clue, I guess, in that I am done one. You have to do clue 1 twice. I've done it once. I'm just going to clip this yarn. Where are my scissors? I have puppy snips that I bought. I've already lost them. I think they're down in the couch, in between the couch. But I have to take, like, apart the whole couch in order to get at them. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. Alright. So, look away. Come back in a few minutes if you don't want to see. I messed up on clue 1, by the way, and I don't care enough to reknit it. And it's on, like, 16-inch needles, so you can't even really see. So it's starting off kind of like a triangular shawl. And you do color 1, and then you do color 2 in this twisted rib, color 3. Here I'm supposed to do color 4. Well, I thought color 5 was supposed to be your darkest, so I did Baltic as my number 4, but then realized that number 4 was supposed to be your darkest, so I've changed it because the Baltic in the lace section was really nice, and then is Moon Glow, and then I have the Thunderstorm up here, which I definitely do enjoy a little bit better. So that is how this is shaping up. It is, like I said, you have to do 2 triangles. I really like Monet. I knew I would. It's got like these pops of orange and pink and beautifulness. So I need to knit a second clue one, but all of my 6s are being used. So this uses US size 6s. My my sweater, to get 18 stitches per inch on vintage, I use US size 6s. That's what I used for my last. And then my sister-in-law's row cardigan, I've started on the ribbing for that. I can't remember if I showed it last time. I think I did. So I'd finished the one sleeve and picked up for the ribbing. That ribbing uses 6s. Apparently I only have three 6s. One of them's my interchangeables. For my TML blanket, I'm using size 4s or 5s. 5s, I think. My niece's sweater is on size 4s. That's on size 8s. So yeah, apparently I only have 3 6s. I did order more, and will wait, but I am enjoying this. I can't keep up with that thread. I went into the spoiler thread because she released this for like the 12th in the morning, like in Australia. So it was out like the 11th in the evening for me. I started it that night. I wasn't going to do this mystery knit along. I had bought the pattern because it was going to be cheaper now to buy it, and I was going to do it at some point. I hadn't looked at yarn. I hadn't decided on colors, nothing. I had looked off and on at buying a kit, but hadn't. And then it came out, and I'm like, ooh, it came out. And I got sucked up into it, and immediately went to my stash and had my colors picked out, like, right away. No problems. That's, I guess, what the benefits of having a large stash. And started knitting, and I wouldn't change. Oh, excuse me. Wouldn't change a thing. For what I'm doing, I really like it. I think it'll be really nice. I'm excited to see how the rest of them turn out. So, yeah, sometimes you just gotta go with your gut, I suppose. So that's that. That's all the knitting. It kind of feels like I haven't made progress, but that I've knit like half a sweater almost. And I made good progress on that, and yeah, so what else has been going on? Cyrus goes to daycare every Monday to Thursday while I'm at work. Some Fridays, depending. Like next Friday, I'm going to book him in because I have a bunch of appointments pretty much all day. So I brought him to the vet this week because ticks are really bad in Saskatoon. Like, my boss's dog is an outdoor farm dog, and they put like over the counter, what you can buy at the pet store, tick medication on her, and she still gets covered in them. So he hadn't been at the vet, so he hadn't been weighed since his neuter at the end of March, or actually middle of March. So it had been like a month and a half since he was there, and they didn't, in order to know how much to give him, or to give me for him, he really needed to be weighed again. So I picked him up from work one day, and on their Facebook page that day, they said that a couple of the dog owners had informed them that their dog has kennel cough, or Bordetella. Bordetella is not... It's very contagious. It's like a cold, basically. So they cough, which has like a... almost sounds like whooping cough is how I've had it described to me. So it has a really, like a hollow cough. They can have a fever, lethargic, loss of appetite, just generally not feeling well. And so they're saying, if your dog shows any of these symptoms, please keep them at home. I trust other dog owners about as much as I trust other parents, in that we all have heard of parents who let their kids go to daycare or school when they are deathly ill with something contagious. And not only are they putting, extra stress on their child, because their child does not get to rest, they are endangering all the other children. So while I was at the vet's office, I talked to them about it, and my vet is always really nice, and I'm like, should I just get him vaccinated for it? Like, I may as well. It was $20 to get him vaccinated for kennel cough. So we did that, and I picked up, he's 60 pounds already. He was about 50 at his neuter, and so they gave him Nexgard or something. It's a beef chew thing that he ate like that, because food. And they gave him the extra large one, because she's like, he's right on the edge for it. And the vet's like, he's still going to grow, so give him the extra large. And I'm like, oh, awesome. He's still going to grow. And talk to him a little bit about food and feeding, because all of they always say, follow the instructions on the back of the bag. So Cyrus gets a Cana large breed puppy formula, a dry kibble, which he loves. It smells kind of like fish. But it does have a very strong smell. I pay like $65 for a giant bag of it, which lasts me maybe 3 weeks, a little bit longer. And when I first got him, he was about 40 pounds, and I was feeding him 3 cups a day, and the vet said that was good. I've upped it slightly to about 3.5 to 3 3/4 cups a day. I feed him twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening, just because he's always hungry no matter how often I feed him, but I feel that he gets more consistent food. I don't know. It's just what I've done for my dogs. I always feed him twice a day. So I talked to them about that, because it's really hard with a dog that you have no idea what the breed is, really. I mean, he looks like a lab, but that doesn't necessarily mean he is a lab. Because the charts that are on the back of the bag go by the weight of what your puppy is now, and then you have to match that with the adult weight of your dog, the expected adult weight of your dog. I have no idea how big he's going to get. People are asking me all the time if he's crossed with Great Dane, because his legs are so goddamn long. And when he runs, he flails. It looks like he can't get anywhere like that, but he does. So it's crazy pants. So I asked, I'm like, how do I know that what I'm feeding him is enough? And so he looked him over and, felt along his ribs and stuff. And he's like, seems like you're feeding him fine, as long as, you can feel his ribs and stuff like that. You're doing fine. Other than that, he didn't really have any recommendations. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of, it's a guesstimate, to be honest. Like, what are you supposed to do? And I'm like, I'm just, concerned about it, because labs in general, the breed labs, have like the highest obesity rates for all dog breeds, because they will eat anything. They will eat until they burst, and they're lazy. So he will eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and he will sleep. So, it's hard to tell, but apparently I'm doing okay, and he's doing okay. He's sleeping on the couch over there now. I guess the outside got boring or too hot or something. Other than that, I finished All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Toews. I struggle with that name. I started it in January. I think I've talked about it when I was like this far into it. So I did finally finish it the other night. I'm trying again to read more. It was good. There were a lot of, it's really the first time that while reading a book, I wished I had a pen to underline certain things. And one of them I posted on my Facebook page. She was talking about how she had rich uncles. And you hear about this like all the time. She talks about how in the Mennonite Cosmos, I don't have an exact quote, but it was in the Mennonite Cosmos, the sons get the biggest inheritance, and the women are left out of that. And she goes, in the girl line, we don't have wealth, and we don't have drafty, or we have to live in our drafty houses, but we have our rage, and we will build empires with it. And that, to me, really hit home, because nobody on either side of my family is well, that's not entirely true. I have some uncles on my dad's side who are well off, but that is not because they got inheritance from my grandparents on that side. It's because they made good choices when they were younger, and bought, cheap land and made a good business decision and was able to sell the land and those assets for a lot of money now. That's why they are well off. Not all of them are. I don't think any of them really. I can only think of one that's really, well off. And that wasn't, like I said, due to inheritance, but I have friends, multiple friends, one of whom the other side of the family, one of his uncles owns Sleeman's Brewery up here in Canada, which is a pretty big deal, and they don't talk to that side of the family. I have another friend down in the States, his uncle, and the entire side of that side of the family, I guess, is involved in, I think it's a factory of some kind that one of his uncles owns and his grandfather owned, and his side of the family isn't involved in that. So it's just, the Mennonite women are strong, but it's complicated. It's very complicated. I can see it sometimes in my mom, that she has a lot of anger, I feel sometimes. I don't know. It's like I said, it's hard, it's complicated, and it doesn't just apply to Mennonite families by any means. This book was just written about a Mennonite family by someone who grew up in a Mennonite community that was a little bit more closed off than the Mennonite town I grew up in, at least. Like, she still had to deal with village elders and stuff, and we didn't have that in the Mennonite town that I grew up in. So it's hard. It's definitely hard. It was very interesting, though, and it dealt with suicide, which apparently seems to be common in some Mennonite families. Actually, in families of all kinds. It was good. It was very... There's people moving in, I'm sorry. They're moving into the building over there. Anyway, so yeah, I finished that. The next book I want to pick up is The Break. I actually have it here. I started it a little bit. I've read a little bit of it. Just a couple. By Katharina Vermette. This is about northern Winnipeg, which has always been a low-income area of Winnipeg until you get to a certain point. And it's interesting because, once again, I'm familiar with that area, and I'm familiar with it being a lower income. I wouldn't want to live there, to be honest. And it talks about why that is, and immigration, but it's dealing with Indigenous issues, a lot of it. So that should be good and interesting, and hopefully it was a Canada Reads So I want to read all of the Canada Reads from this year and then keep going back. So that's what I'm doing for reading. I was going to bring some yarn to show that I bought, but I didn't bring it. Didn't even think about it. So I think I'm going to call that good. Half an hour is, I guess, long enough for me to talk. My throat's getting a little dry. So I will talk to you guys in 2 weeks. I hope you are having a wonderful time doing what you are doing. And see you soon. Bye. Oh, the right button.